Morning everybody, and welcome back to Waffles RC. We are getting back on the Ford Suburban Ford B250, the one that you saw last week. So let's get right into it. And by right into it, I mean I got the wheels and tires. I decided to go with these because, well, I liked them. So they are a 2.2 with a 4.8 tall tire, I believe. I could probably measure it if I had a tape measure, but I don't have one. Oh, it's actually right there. So let's see. Yeah, 4.8. So that is the combo that I decided to go with. I went with the 2.2s because I felt like the truck, being a bigger body vehicle, deserved a bigger rim. I didn't want to go too crazy with the tires because I do want this thing to, function, because it is a flat rail chassis. So, competition stuff. So the body is just sitting on the frame. So first step that we need to do, we have that right there. I don't know if you remember, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I was talking about how PLA 3D printed bodies don't like heat. Well, they also don't like being cut. So let's cut it. Now I don't know how this is going to go, but you never know till you try, right? Well, it seems to be working, so I'll bring you back once I have all this done and kind of cleaned up, make it look a little bit nicer. And there we are. All trimmed out, all four corners. Came out halfway decent, but luckily our exo cage covers all the badness. And then on top of that will be paint, which will also cover the badness. See, you have to look on the positive side when you're cutting one of these things up. Now I have my wider wheel arches. Now I need to figure out how to mount this onto the frame. I have an idea for the back. I have no idea for the front. All right, guys. Well, I got in my little work mode and just went full ham and got this thing mounted. So as you can see, the back, there are two little bolts there. And on the hood, there are two little bolts there. So I personally like to keep body mounting as simple as possible. You can make it as complicated as you want. I don't mind seeing bolts. I was able to hide the back ones. The front ones I couldn't really do much, but if you look there, it's just a flat stock that I bent around the frame, measured, got the frame even, and put it there. The rear was even simpler. Yeah, you can see that. That I just took the same material that I made the frame out of, welded it to the bottom, and did it flush with two bolts. Now the body is mounted to our flat rail chassis. And it's mostly even too, which I'm kind of proud of. So it's not going to sit this low, which would look kind of cool, but it's not what we're going for. So now we get to do the fun part, which is mount our shocks. And if you're new to the channel, there's a common theme when it comes to coilovers and shocks for me. I like to run 120s. So let's say it all together. The shocks that I got for this thing are wrong. 130s. Got to switch it up every now and again. Now, are these way too much for this truck? Probably. Am I still going to run them? Absolutely, because I like a lot of travel. Now the rear, as you saw in the last video, doesn't have a whole lot of travel, so this is going to be more for looks than anything and, get our ride height. The fronts, however, these are going to be quite necessary for the amount of flex this thing has. So now I have to figure out where I want the ride height, where I want it to fully bump out, and then somehow figure out shock mounts from there. So I did the trailing arms on the rear, so that should be relatively simple. Put them in, mount something, hope it works. The fronts, I am slightly excited to say, I am most likely, depending on how this all goes, I am most likely going to have to cut holes in the hood. Not concerned with that, kind of the look I was going for, honestly. Let me take the body off, get the frame out, figure out where I want to mount these on the axles, and then we'll have to, go from there. I think I'll start with the rears first. I think that's going to be the easiest. The fronts, having to mount them, cut holes, all that stuff, that might be a bit tricky, but, we'll get it figured out. And actually, while I take this apart, it's a good opportunity for me to say, I don't know if I said it already, but if you're making one of these yourself, sometimes simple is just easiest, and it doesn't really look that bad. Now, if you're going for full proper scale look, then this may not be the channel for you. But we love having you here anyhow. I just like to make my stuff more functional, and if I can get some good details in it, then I'm going to put good details in it. But if I have to have 2 bolts through the hood, it is what it is. I know everybody's going to clipless systems now, and it does look a lot cleaner. I'm not going to argue that. But I don't have that kind of time, money, or patience. It's real simple to make bracket, drill holes, put bolt. So with the trailing arms, they're going to mount into the trailing arms. You can't see because my hand's in the way. They're going to mount into the trailing arms and then mount somewhere up here. That's as far as I've gotten. Okay, thought I would update you guys here on what has happened. As you can see, the radius arm is now upside down. Main reason behind that is if I would have had them the other way, the coilover would have fit in here, but then couldn't move with the articulation or the axle or anything. So I flipped them upside down, and now I have plenty of movement, so I can mount them where I want, allowing for, travel. So the main reason why I did this is, well, there's 2 very good reasons. One, I already have the parts and have already made the frame to work with these parts. 2, I'm not made of money, and neither are everybody else who watches this particular channel. Remember, it's about budget. I've already spent good money. I've already spent money on these parts. So I'm going to do what I have to use these things. And sometimes even in your builds, you're going to have to do the same thing. So, be prepared for such circumstances. So the way I'm going to look at this is now I have high clearance trailing arms instead of normal trailing arms. It's competition crawler. You guys got to remember this. I just wanted to get you updated on that. I still have to figure out what I'm doing with the fronts. Yeah, see, this part's a guessing game because I don't know if it's just compressing because of the weight of my hands, or if I'm gonna have to take the torch to the coils again. We'll find out. Yep, you see it. Now you don't. I did use it. But that is because I did something silly. And that would be, I prepared for all eventualities. The mounting brackets that I normally make, I usually just find what looks right, drill the hole, mount it there, and then be upset that I got the wrong adjustment. Well, now I have given myself 5 different mounting positions. It went somewhere. There it is. And I made 2 of them. It's like I'm learning. Sometimes when you build these things so many times, you realize, oh, maybe I should learn from my mistakes instead of just continuing to do the same thing over and over. And the child is screaming. So we'll go on a quick time lapse. I'm going to weld these onto the frame. Then I'm going to put some of the tube over it to make it look like, a shock hoop. And maybe even a brace just because, well, I can. just like that, there are shocks in the back. And luckily, I made this thing heavy enough that we are only on the uppermost and still sitting down pretty low. So I got plenty of room for adjustment. Now, some of you may be noticing that the front axle isn't exactly centered anymore. You would be 100% correct. And I just remembered, or no, I didn't just remember. And yes, I'm wearing a different shirt. It's also been like 5 days since I last touched this. So what has changed in the waffle world to create such a gap in between working on the RC car? Well, one, that's really it. Puppies. They take some time. But in said time, except I've now lost a part, I have printed out light lenses. So this thing doesn't look quite so weird. Except now I have lost one of the turn signal lenses. So I'll find that later. But I'm going to get back on this. I am going to try drilling some holes, which I think will fix my pinion angle and hopefully push that axle forward just enough to where I'm happy. So let me drill some holes. I'll bring you right back. And also real quickly, see all this oil and the paper towels? They've been sitting underneath these shocks for 5 days. These ones I drained out for 2 days and they still leaked out. And you wonder why I don't run oil in shocks. It would probably help if I went with, better shocks, but I don't have that kind of budget. Budget channel, remember that. And there we are. Front axle is now moved forward. All I did was move the 2 lower links, which, luckily for me, of making a mistake, don't know if you can even see it at all. Oh no, it actually made it significantly worse. Take 2, and you can see the front axle is further forward, and all I did was move all the control arms because the pinion angle was horrible, and it's still bad, but it's as good as it's going to get. So let's move on to the shocks, mainly because I'm bored of messing with that, and we'll figure it out. So unfortunately for me, but fortunate for the 3D printed body, I will not be cutting holes in the hood. I think having them maxed out right at where the body's at is actually going to be perfect. I'll bring you in here. But as you can see, the shocks are not fully bottomed out and they're at a relatively good height. So I think if I do the same thing on the front that I did on the back with adjustments, it should be pretty well set and I'll be able to adjust the right height from there. Remember, I don't want it stop moving. This one's worse than the last one. Anyhow, remember, I don't want this thing fully bottomed out at right height, but I want to try and keep it as low as possible because, it's going to be top heavy. Can't imagine why. I also found this fun feature. Makes it really convenient when you have to work on stuff. So I'm going to make these shock hoops real quick, and it'll be just like the last one, except you watched a time lapse, I think. That's the last thing I remember filming. So let me knock this out real quick. I know you can't see it from here, but the camera's charging, so the plug only goes so far. The front shock towers are done. They are not going to be super fancy like the rear ones because you can't see those. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. Still have fun with that. This has been in contention with, myself. Don't know how much I really like it, so I'm going to cut it off. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot of fun making that. And I do think it looks pretty cool, but there is a bit of a secret plan going on. One that sort of involves this truck, Actually, quite a lot involves this truck. So I don't know how much with the final plan that I have going for this. Don't know how much it's going to look very well. Look very well? Do you speak English, Mike? Because it certainly doesn't sound like it. It's not the look that I'm going for. It was at the time, until my secret plan. So now, because of the secret plan, we gotta ditch it. It was fun. Kind of Mad Max style. It was okay. I liked it. But time to go up a ice. I left those two because I can. I wanted something. Just slide her back in. There. Oh, it's a little bit cleaner. I will do. Don't know what to do about that. I like the protection there. That's sort of in front of the headlight. I do that, and it blocks not the headlight, but the turn signal. Not that I'm worried about indicating where I'm going, but once again, aesthetics. I don't know. I gotta think about this for a minute. So what I have done is concluded that these two bars are, that's it. That's all it's going to be. Mainly out of a couple of reasons. One, pure laziness. Two, and most importantly, I can't think of anything else that actually looks good. It's not going to compress. It's an RC car. Just remember that, okay? So now that we have fully figured that out, let's get the shocks bolted up, put the body on, see what it looks like. Adjust ride height from there. There we go. It is sitting on its own weight. The front is higher than the back because there's more stuff back there, surprisingly, and the fronts. So the rears are completely bottomed out. That's bottomed out. And for not using a tape measure, I'd say that's pretty level. Also, I am going to try and get the battery in the front. I think if I lift this up, even with the steering servo, I should be able to make a box for the battery to sit up in there, keeping weight on the front to counteract all of this. But one good thing of note, she has all the flex. It could be better. The shocks are what really limit it, but that's still pretty good. I can also make the truck sit a little bit higher because, well, I put adjustability into this thing, but there's still more weight that's going to go into this, obviously, with motors and stuff. But I am so in love with this thing right now. Sorry for just being off camera and staring at it, but it just looks so cool. Kind of the vision I was hoping for. Yeah, they're adjusted all the way soft. You can also put softer coils on the front, but for once I'm going to wait until I have full weight on it before messing with the suspension. But now what that gives us is a good base. Now it's going to have all the droop. Good luck, drive shafts. I'm going to get the Muse drive shafts as well because I've had great luck with them. Speaking of Muse, I remember showing you guys the transmission I put in this thing. It is the Muse transmission. I don't remember what I paid for it, but I'll put it right here. It is quite pricey. It is an overdrive, front overdrive transmission. The front spins faster than the rear. Not by much, but a little bit. That'll be now my second vehicle that has different gears in it. Not so much scale points there. To offset the cost of the transmission, instead of going with my normal motor ESC combos, probably for the same price I could have gotten the Hobby Wing, honestly. Actually, no, I looked at it and this was cheaper. So I went with this. Has ESC and a motor and a bunch of other fancy stuff that it came with too, and all in this really nifty pouch. I don't know why they give you such a nice pouch, like you're going to be taking it in and out and traveling with it. But hey, credit to them, it didn't just come in a box. We do have instructions. We'll figure out how this thing works. I will say ESC does look pretty nice, especially for RC crawler. I'm not going to put the name or anything like that of this, this is what I paid for it. I don't like telling you guys what parts I'm putting on. I've tried explaining this in the past, but I'll keep doing it again. I'm not going to give you names of what this is, and I don't like doing that specifically because if I haven't tested it, I don't want to recommend it. I know there's a lot of the YouTubers out there that test something and recommend it, and whether it's good or bad, I'm not sponsored. These people don't know about me. I don't really care. I'm just hoping for that price that it works. Because for a motor ESC combo, everything's ready to go. For that price, it's pretty good, honestly. Now, does it work? That's the question. So if it does work and I have no issues with it in the running video that I will do of this, if it works perfectly fine, then I will put a link to it. But in the build process, unless I've tested it, I'm not giving you links. Now there is one question that is on my mind about this, and I hope that I don't have to. Hey, somebody put a body on this and makes it really hard. Oh wait, there we go. Hey look, I am going to have to clearance, and that is how I work on my RCs. See, hammers are a very useful tool, except now it's in my way. But other than that, hammers are very useful when it comes to RC cars. I retract my statement. Hammers are horrible for working on RC cars, especially when you don't use them correctly and then you try and blame the hammer like it's its fault. I will give Muse this as well. Having that adjustability is kind of cool to be able to move the transmission to where it would work for you. Pretty nifty. That clears now. I'll just have to swap that bolt around, but that's fine. I should also make sure that that transmission's facing the right direction, because if that's correct and it is facing the right direction, that front output shaft is on the passenger side of the truck. Driver side pumpkin. And the reason why I have an issue with that is because driver side pumpkin. Driver side pumpkin. Even a stock TRX4 driver side pumpkin. That's a center drop, so it doesn't matter. The Dorito Supreme driver side pumpkin. Same there. Same there. Center drop doesn't matter. Driver side. You catching the theme that I'm throwing down here? I'm kind of hoping that I have that transmission in backwards. I can't say I'm a fan of having a drive shaft going all the way over that direction. It's too many angles. Mike from the future here. So this is this transmission. It's the exact one that I bought. According to this output is this one. If we look at it exactly how it's laid out, that is a 10:1 ratio. The rear one is an 8.29. So a 10:1 spins faster than an 8.29. But if you watch with me here, sorry, we're getting up close and personal here, but this is, important. So this is the rear. That should spin slower than the front. So, half a turn, full turn. Half a turn, full turn. It doesn't. It's backwards. So watch from this side. Here is, according to them, the 10:1 ratio. I'm going to turn this one turn. Keep your eye on how many times that one turns. Half. 1. That's the 10:1. That is the 8.29. Sorry guys, I have to interrupt myself because I'm trying to sound smart and actually help educate people on this particular transmission. But I get things backwards. So what I just said, the exact opposite. I bet that messes with a lot of people when they're trying to install these things. So tech tip from, the science guy on this, even though in their descriptions it shows that this is the front output shaft, it is not. Where the Muse logo is, that is the rear output which would then put the front output as a driver side drop. You know, like I was complaining about just a second ago. So check your transmissions. If they're overdrive transmissions and they're cheap, I mean, Muse is a great company. I run a lot of their stuff. This is my first time with this transmission, but I did it according to their own diagram that they put on there. According to that, it's backwards. So any of these cheap transmissions that are overdrive transmissions, check them. Just grab one, do a full rotation, and look at the other one while you're doing the full rotation. Figure out which one is your faster output and put that to the front, because that's apparently how these things are supposed to be. If you do it the other way, the rear is going to spin faster than the front, and that's not what you want unless you're crawling backwards. So buy from the future, I'll see you in the past. It's a good stopping point, mainly because I'm out of time. Next video, we will get the motor mounted in. I'll make a box to mount the battery in, get this sitting down. I now know where my axles are located, so I can get drive shafts measured and ordered, and a steering servo and a receiver. Then this baby's ready to go. Pretty excited about that. And then after that, we get to take the whole thing apart. When we take it apart, it gives us a chance to paint it, which I have a paint scheme in mind, which also ties into the secret plan or secret build, because I was mentioning secret plans earlier. It's a secret build. Full Send doesn't even know about it. I've been working very hard on it. All off camera, nothing was filmed. It's all 3D printing, so kind of an experiment turning out awesome. So from Waffles RC, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing. For those of you who are actually watching this series, thank you especially. No summertime, my views go down horribly. Other channels don't, so why are you guys not watching? The ones that are watching, you're doing great, but spread the word to the other ones. Get them to watch. Let's get the views up, comments, all that fun stuff. Until next week, we will see you next week. That was stupid. We'll see you next week. Don't worry, I didn't forget. It's at a good point now where we can get a weigh in on it. Especially after that little rant of people not watching. You people at the end, you get to find out how much this thing weighs. Around ounces, grams. I'll do the grams again because that was funny. It is 9 pounds, 13 ounces, or 4,450 grams. I mean, compared to one of the other flat rail chassis, that's really light. And it's just going to get heavier. See you next week.